Breaking news tonight out of Ohio, a case so deeply disturbing that even seasoned investigators say they'd never seen anything like it. A 13-year-old boy, now 14, spent months planning the murder of his 64-year-old neighbor, Sheila Denise Tenpenny, before sneaking into her home in the early morning hours and killing her. And afterward, he went online and bragged. This one was a fighter. It raises an immediate and haunting question. How does a child reach a point where murder becomes a goal, not an accident? And more importantly, what goes through the mind of a 13-year-old as he walks toward a neighbor's home, fully intent on ending a life? To understand this case, we have to visualize that quiet morning on Germania Street, a small neighborhood in Fairfax, Ohio. Most homes are dark. Most people are asleep. But a boy barely in his teens steps out of his own house. Not with a toy, not with a phone, but with a plan he has rehearsed online for months. He chooses this exact moment because he knows she lives alone, because he knows she will be asleep, and because he knows he will face no interruptions. And that leads to another question. Did he feel fear? Hesitation. The natural panic any child should feel at the thought of harming another human being. Shockingly, investigators say the answer appears to be no. He had spent months searching the internet. Not about video games, not about school, but about murder, how to choose the perfect victim, how to strangle someone, how to defeat a police interrogation. He even asked these questions to ChatGPT, trying to craft the ideal plan, showing a level of premeditation that investigators described as chilling. So, what was he looking for in these searches? Power, control. A fantasy identity? Some experts say that adolescents who feel small, ignored, or powerless often turn to violent fantasies as a way of reshaping their self-image. But planning is one thing. Carrying it out is something entirely different. He entered her home while she slept. Quiet, calculated, not forcing a door, not stumbling through a window, suggesting he had tested this route before or scouted it. And that detail raises another disturbing question. How many nights did he stand outside her home rehearsing this moment? How long had he pictured it? When he reached her bedroom, prosecutors say he struck her, causing blunt force trauma, then strangled her. But Denise did not die without fighting. She scratched him, clawed at him, pulled out his hair, leaving his DNA under her nails and blood throughout the room. She fought for her life, and yet the boy continued. This is where investigators say the psychological shock truly sets in. A typical child confronted with resistance, pain, or fear would stop. They might panic, drop what they're doing, run home crying. Instead, he kept going. So again, we must ask, what does that say about his emotional state? His sense of empathy, his understanding of consequences. Even after being injured by her resistance, he finished the act, left her home, and did something almost unimaginable. He logged into his social media and posted, "This one was a fighter." Why brag? Why immediately? Why phrase it like that? The words "this one" imply something horrifying that he wanted to appear experienced. As if this were part of a series, part of an identity he was crafting. It's language associated with serial offenders, not eighth graders. And investigators noticed this immediately. Ohio BCI agent David Ward said that in his 20 years working violent crimes, he had never seen a juvenile with this level of preparation, this level of emotional detachment, this level of fascination. He wasn't angry at the victim. He wasn't bullied by her. He wasn't seeking revenge. There was no argument, no conflict, no relationship between them. So again, what was the motive? Curiosity? Thrill? A desire to test himself? Or a darker fantasy, one shaped online, fueled by anonymity and violent content, and acted out in real life because he wanted to know what it felt like? Another chilling detail. Investigators say he tried to clean up the crime scene. Not well, not effectively, but enough to show he had already thought about what comes after a killing. That is not the thought process of a child acting impulsively. That is someone following a script. He left DNA everywhere, blood drops on the floor, hair in her hands, scratches on his face. He made mistakes. But one investigator said something that stands out. He made mistakes this time. My concern is whether he will learn from those mistakes in the future. Is the type of sentence investigators reserved for offenders they believe are capable of. Escalation offenders who see killing not as a moment of rage, but as an identity, a role, a fantasy they want to repeat. And the fact that he bragged online immediately afterward indicates that for him, the killing wasn't a tragedy, it was an achievement. So what happens next? Because he is a juvenile, the maximum punishment is confinement until the age of 21. After that, lest new laws intervene, he will walk free. That raises a final question. One investigators, prosecutors, neighbors, and the victim's family are all asking, what happens when someone capable of this level of planned violence at 13 is released back into society at 21? Is rehabilitation possible? Is he a danger forever? Can someone who describes murder like a game ever develop empathy? These are questions no one yet has answers for. But one thing is certain. This is a case that challenges our understanding of childhood, criminal psychology, and the terrifying truth that sometimes the greatest danger can come from someone far younger than we ever imagined.